And this is what I see a lot of people today, like they've got great jobs and they work hard and they're great borrowing capacity and they sort of sit on their hands. And I'm like, please don't. That's what one of my biggest regrets, like don't sit on your hands, like you take action because take action now while you can, because as you get older, it's going to get harder. It doesn't get easier.
Welcome to Get Invested on the Property Hub podcast channel, the leading weekly show for Australians who want to learn how to unlock their full self, health and wealth potential. I'm your host, Bushy Martin, and each week I go deep with the best investors, experts, leaders and founders to find out what it takes to break free from the grind, discover freedom and to live by design. Subscribe now and join me and get invested in the life that you really want. Let's get started.
Hi, freedom fighters. Last week we met a man who truly embodies the spirit of property persistence, Simon Lacey. We heard how he turned a tough upbringing into unshakable drive, how he bought his first property at just 20 years old, and how a few tough lessons from broken axles to broken builders forged a rock-solid mindset. But here's the big question. Once you build a massive portfolio generating over $900,000 a year in rental income, what's next? How do you protect it, scale it, simplify it, without losing the very freedom you built it for? And how can the rest of us apply those same lessons to craft a calm, confident path to our own financial independence? To bring that to life, I want you to picture this. You're pedaling a bike up a long, steep hill. The wrong gear grinds you down. The right gear lets you glide further with less effort. Well, investing's no different. And Simon's story today is all about learning to shift gears between growth and cash flow, between hustle and harmony, between working hard and living well. So in this second half of our chat, you'll hear how Simon refined his property engine through co-living, commercial lending, and a people's first buyer's agency, and how he's now creating both impact and income by helping others do the same. So buckle up for another round of insights, inspiration, and practical wisdom as we continue this conversation with a man who proves that persistence, purpose, and patience always pay off in property and in life. We jump back into the conversation where I just started to ask him about how he changed his future. So let's get it invested again with Simon Lacey. Moving forward from here, given that we're in a situation where, we've just come through the second highest property boom in the 260-year history of the country, a lot of areas are probably going to soften off a little bit. They probably won't have the level of growth that we've achieved, particularly, the excessive abnormal growth we've seen in the last 3 years. What's your strategy going to be to maintain or grow your net income position, and what's the end goal look like for you?
So going forward, I've been sitting down and spending a lot of time thinking about it. To me, my kids are at an age I want to spend time with them. Some people said to me the other day, a guy said to me yesterday, you've probably only got 5 or 6 summers left with your daughter before she's grown up and do her own thing. So I love spending time with my family. I mean, I'm so fortunate that I got into a property at an early age. From probably 30, I've been able to go to their swimming and do all these things with my kids. And I'm so grateful property's given me that experience. So for me, I'm going to concentrate on passive income. Yeah. I don't need a $50 million net worth or $100 million net worth. I don't need Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and I don't need that. I just need this passive income to enjoy my family and spend time with my family. So I start to realize that I've got some friends that are super wealthy, and I realize we're all going to end up in the same place. So for me, concentrating on my passive income. So I'm going to still work on this co-living sort of scenario next couple of years.
Yes.
And there's near my area where I live in Melbourne, there's no rentals, and there's people living in tents along the creeks and people living in tents everywhere. So I'm like, if I can help the market by producing more places, good places to live, I'm helping, I'm not hindering, I'm trying to push the rentals down. The more supply, the better, it's unfortunate. There's families out there living in tents. It's like insane. Like it's come to this, and there's too much red tape in Victoria where developers are all backing off. Like the numbers don't stack up. Where developers need to make money. We're not going to put your balls on the line or put everything on the line and not make money. And so the co-living model and different scenarios, different models are really coming into play now. I think there's a lot of opportunity, and it's going to help the market and help people give more places to live.
100% agree.
So for me.
Yeah, I love what you're doing in that space. What do you say to someone who's listening in, and because I don't know about you, but I guess I get a bit frustrated. There's a lot of talking about housing affordability and how people have been locked out of property and housing in recent times. What do you say to those people, given where you've come from and what you've done and the pivots and changes and adaptations that you've managed to achieve over the time? What do you say to people who might be sitting there going, well, yeah, I'd like to do this, but gee, I don't know that I can.
Oh, there's always opportunity. I think the average person, you don't have to buy where you live. You can rent first or rent a house with friends. Get a few of us together and rent a house, and then there's places around Australia are still affordable. And there's still opportunities where you can do little subdivisions or renos or out of bedroom or whatever it is to build up some capital to get going. You don't have to do work in your own area. You don't have to do a subdivision or whatever it is where you live, or, buy a rental where it is. There's places out there, I've been helping clients get stuff for, $350K, $400K. There's stuff out there that's still affordable. If there's still ways to get ahead. There's always a way. You don't have to sit there and go, you can't afford it, or there's a way. There's always a way. If you think in your head you can't do it, you won't do it. It's, like everything's like mindset, like Think and Grow Rich, that book, it's just so true. Like you just got to picture yourself where you want to be and make it happen. Like just take action. And if you can't think, you don't think you can find a property where you are, make phone calls, ring around and ring buyers advocates or whatever it is. Ask people, say, is there any opportunities, or get on real estate, because there is opportunities out there. I look all the time. Like I'm helping clients now looking at opportunities, and there's stuff out there that you can still opportunities, heaps of opportunities. I see too many opportunities. For me, I've got to control myself not to take action. Because I've looked at a heap of stuff yesterday. I was looking for a client and I saw so many opportunities, and I'm like, I'd love to do this and do that. I go, take a chill pill, because my thing at the moment is want to spend time with my family. The next 4 to 5, 10 years, I spend time with family. I don't need to take too much, like what else do you need?
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that. And something else I'd love for you to talk through, because there'll be a lot of people listening going, wow, 25 or 6 properties. That sounds like a full-time job. That sounds like I'll be spending all my time managing that process. Talk us through how you managed to do that. And at the same time, as you mentioned to me in the green room, you're heading off with the family for a holiday over the Easter weekend, which is at the time we've recorded this. Clearly, you've got that sort of out. Can you share how you managed to free up your time, but also have the portfolio managed appropriately?
Yeah, no worries. The best thing about it is having good property managers, or best property managers you can find. It might cost you a little bit more. That's probably one of the most important things. It takes a lot of stress out of it, because they help you find good tenants. And as soon as you've got good tenants, there's a lot of real stress gone, and good property managers. Also, I have a bookkeeper who's amazing. She's been working with me probably for at least 15 years. And she comes in once a week and checks over the books and checks over everything. The basic emails, I respond to. It's funny. I think it's a mindset thing as well, because years ago I got to 20 properties and I started selling them. I couldn't handle it. And it was bizarre, because I was like, I had a couple of issues come up and different things come up. But then I think it's a mindset thing, because this time it doesn't bother me at all. And I then think it's not stressful at all, and I want to push forward. So I think it's back to the mindset, and I think maybe you grow slowly or at different times, but yeah, it is amazing, because you see some people. I've got a friend who's got 100 properties, and I'm like, how does he handle that? But he's got someone full time that looks after it, and it's I think everyone can handle a different amount of stress. I think you're better off starting slowly and just taking small steps, small steps, small steps, and then it's less stressful. You get used to it. It's just your daily thing. It doesn't bother me. Definitely your issues come up. A tap might leak, or hot water service might go, or something so simple, but it's so minute in the scheme of things. Like my wife will go, "Why don't you sell one?" Or something happens or something, and I'm like, the capital growth, you get a small over 20 something properties, you get a small percentage of growth. That makes a huge difference. Yes. For example, my wife, we started panicking over COVID and these 13 interest rate rises, and then we look at it and sit back and go, we got $50 a week increase on each property. That's $70K a year. If we get one interest rate drop across our portfolio, that saves us $70K a year. So straight away, in two basic steps, we could be $150K up from where we are.
Yeah.
So it's power of leverage. This leverage is massive. It comes into part.
Absolutely love it. And again, I'm a disciple of Robert Kiyosaki myself, mate. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if it wasn't for reading that book way back in, I think it was 1998. I first read that book, and it was an absolute penny drop moment for me. It completely changed everything I did from that point on. So, and I 100% agree with you, mate. I often refer to it as, we need to give ourselves TLC. That's when the TLC is not 10 to 11 care, but it's time, leverage, and compounding as the three things that have the biggest impact on our future. And if we're not investing in it the right way, then it's going to happen in the reverse for those that don't take that step. So I love that. But given your thoughts, mate, and given how active you are in the industry, and given that the good old mainstream media loves to scare us like hell with the next thing that Trump's going to do and what the election's going to have an impact on the property conditions, what's your read on the future of property and where the opportunities might be?
Oh, there's definitely opportunities, because I think there's this massive undersupply across the board. Stuff that's under 700K across Australia is, once they start dropping interest rates, I think there's going to be so much opportunities. It's affordable stuff out there. If it's under 700K, it's going to be so much demand for that. And as soon as they start dropping interest rates, when they do, it's going to be huge demand, and everyone's going to jump. A lot of people are going to take action, but a lot of people still sit on their hands and say, "Oh, it's too hard," or "It's too expensive now." But the best thing I can say to anyone, no matter how old you are, take action as early as possible. It makes it so much easier, because that compound you're saying about, if you take action when you're early 20s, you get that compound on a couple of properties. It just goes so far down the track. You basically delay gratification. If you don't buy cars and live cheap when you're young and put it into property or something, whatever it is, that leverage you get, you build up a nest egg when you're young, you can use it to set yourself up from the age of 30 or whatever it is. I was fortunate enough probably from 30 to be basically financial free. I'd paid off my first house, that first townhouse, when I was 24, 25. I thought I was done. I thought, this is it. I'm free. And I'm like, unfortunately, my parents were still paying off their house. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm just going to sit out in the backyard and sit in the sun. My expenses were low. I had no kids. I had nothing. I had nothing to pay for. I could do a couple little electrical jobs and I'd relax, go traveling. But yeah, then things changed. So having a family, and you want a bigger house, and you want to do more holidays, you want a fancier car, and you push harder, you keep pushing. But yeah, you realise though, one thing I did realise, and a lot of people think all they need to do is pay their house off. And I'm like, I paid my house off at 24, 25, and it wasn't enough. You still need income. You need to be able to pay your insurance, your rates. We have all these costs, and now cost of food and basic living is so expensive. You need more than just paying the house off. You need to, whether it's a couple of properties or whatever you want to do. So you got to work out, like you say, you got to work out where you want to be and work out how you're going to get there. And I love your story. Basically, I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day, and basically you worked out where you wanted to get to. You wanted to get to 200K passive income. Yeah. And you sit down and work out how you're going to get there.
Spot on. And I love that you've done exactly the same, been very clear and focused right from the get-go on where you're heading. But also, I think what's really great about your story, Simon, is that you're happy to pivot. If something's not working, you're going to do something else. So you're always learning, you're always curious, and you're not scared to then go and have a go. And that, I think the big takeaway from me from what you shared with us is just have a go. If you can't do it the normal way, find a way. If you don't have the money, find someone with the money. If you've got the money but you don't have the time, find someone who can do it. There's always a way to make this happen if you're prepared to get out there, talk to people, and find a way, as you say, mate. There's too many people who close the doors based on the negative Nellies that they hear in the media, and then convince themselves that life's never going to be any good. Well, for those of us who can see beyond that and get below the averages and the medians and all the rest of the stuff, and get down to, every property is an opportunity. If we can solve someone's housing problem, then there's a solution that we can make money out of. There's absolutely no question. And for me, for as long as people live in property, there's an opportunity to make money out of property. So I love what you're saying. If we reflect back on your journey so far, what's been your best and worst investment, and what have you learned from each of those? Right?
Best and worst investment. I think the worst investment has been when I was so tied up in the solar business. A developer friend of mine came to me, and he had a property, and then he had plans and permits to put two out the back. And I was so caught up in my other business, I didn't really sit down and do the numbers, and I didn't make a huge amount on that project. But it's probably one of my worst. So yeah, it goes to show you should always, if you don't have the time, get an expert in. Just get someone else. If I could go back now, I would have got a BA and just gone to someone like yourself and said, what should I be doing? I've got a good income from my solar business. I'm sort of guessing at the moment. Should I be doing this? I was taking a lot of advice from a developer, and problem is I was getting development advice because he's a developer. He's going to be giving me that same advice. I should have gone to someone who was doing a totally different strategy and got advice from them, and then put the two together and go, which way do I want to go? What end game do I want? So, but yeah, that was probably my worst investment. My best investment, well, my first one was a good one because when I got into Melbourne, I was told not to get into Melbourne because Melbourne had so much demand at the time. It was early 2000s. And I'm like, so much demand is a good thing, I think. Yeah. So I got into Melbourne, bought that first one and did that subdivision while it was booming. So basically both them properties basically doubled from day dot. So that was probably one of my best. And getting into Brisbane early, first one in Brisbane I bought probably 6 years ago. Right. I bought around that Petrie University. I was buying around there. Awesome. I had an idea I was going to do some student accommodation type stuff around there. So I started buying some stuff around there before Brisbane took off. But at the same time, I have an advisor. I have someone who gives me areas I sit down with, who's been playing property for probably 50 years. And I sit down with him and I don't guess. I sit down with him and he gives me some ideas on areas that have got potential. I spend money and always have on areas. That's how I got into the Latrobe years ago when I was picking them up for $100,000. And that's pretty well how I got into Brisbane early. So, and I use the same sort of research to help clients try to get into areas before they go nuts.
Yeah, love it. Love it. No, that's awesome, mate. Well, look, let's before we jump into the bushfire round, tell us a bit more about Lacey Elite Buyers Agents, especially in terms of what's unique about what you do and what you do differently, do you think?
Well, I started that when we're traveling in Australia. We had fun, basically at the time we had 250K coming in passively. And me and my wife said, what are we going to do when we go back? And maybe we thought, we love this so much. We want other people to be able to experience this freedom, spend time with the family and doing what you want to do. So we said, we'll go back and get our license and do a course and be our license. And that's been, probably a bit over a year and a half. But basically I try and specialize in helping people achieve what they want to achieve. Like everyone's different. Someone needs to work on cash flow. Someone needs to create capital. I just don't. I'm not into the game where it's burn and churn, which find them a townhouse or find them this. I really don't need the money that bad. So more for me, it's a hobby. And sometimes last year, we did a lot of advertising, and I got a lot of tire kickers. No offense to some people, came to me and they wasted my time. And this year I've stopped advertising, stopped everything. I'm like, I've got to weigh up where I spend my time. My family's important first. And my second is I'm willing to help people, but I'm not advertising so much. And I'm just like, I'm scaling back. If people really want help, I'll help them, but I'm not going to just go advertise. And just, unfortunately, some people say they want to take action, but they just sort of, unfortunately, they're afraid. Maybe this isn't the right time for them. That's okay. So with the Buyers Advocate business, we try and do specific things, like try and find definitely try and help the client if they need to get cash flow, or they're at a time where they want to retire or need cash flow fast. Some people, are in their 40s or whatever, and they want cash flow fast. They've got ways, because I'm doing that sort of strategy myself. And lucky enough, because I've been doing it for 25, nearly 30 years, I've nearly done every strategy. I've done developments, I've done co-living, I've done little house and grannies, I've done a bit of everything. I've tried it all, and I've bought in every state except for Adelaide. So I've got a little bit of experience, and I wasn't confident enough to help other people until I'd set myself up and I'd had a decent portfolio. Before that, I wasn't comfortable helping other people. I thought I need to be able to prove to myself I can do it myself, and I can set myself up, and then I'm comfortable helping other people because I know I can do it. And now I've got all the contacts, around Australia with builders. I've got agents. Nearly in every state, I've got someone I can turn to for maintenance or whatever it is. I've been very blessed to have such great people in my life when it comes to that stuff. So, yeah, that's probably why we're different. I'm just not a burn and turn trying to find anything. To be honest, with some of the clients I was helping last year, I probably spent a month to 6 weeks on each purchase for them. I was probably too invested in it. I think each purchase I do for a client is pretty well like as property for me.
Yeah.
Which it helps them, which is great. For me, the income side, it's probably not so great. But that's okay. We're here for a long term, doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I'm comfortable. I'll be okay. It's not about numbers. Maybe if I wanted to try and scale it and I could have a good team around me, like with the solar business, we managed to get a good team around us. And if you can scale with good people and good helpers, and I know the clients are going to get looked after and get a good service, and maybe I could go down that path. But at the moment, I'm just going to stay small and try and help a small amount of clients and stay down that and try and give them a good result, the best result,
Right. I get to deal with a lot of buyers agents, Simon, and I guess having seen the good, bad, and ugly of the industry, because it's sadly the barriers to entry are pretty low, so anyone can get in pretty easily, pretty cheaply. I'm seeing, I think sadly a lot of people got in this industry for the wrong reason, and there's a lot of tick and flick stuff that talk a great story, but the quality of the asset that they're offering to people, very questionable to me. And for first time or early investors, they don't know how bad an asset is until 5 or 6 years later, and by then, it's long gone. So, given the personal experience you have, which is far in excess of most people, to focus on quality. And then work with people that you want to work with, not everyone, rather than build an empire where you get to the point where you're so busy feeding the machine that the quality of what you're doing and the other people working for you starts to fall. Easy for me to say this, but I think if you stick to the boutique quality side and attract the people that you like working with, and then give them a good quality result, that's going to be very satisfying for you. It'll become financially rewarding, but most importantly, be able to look yourself in the mirror and your clients in the eye and say, we've done a great job and you're going to do really well out of this. So I think your legacy piece from what you're doing and the approach that you're now taking is ultimately going to be far more rewarding, particularly when you're in a position where your portfolio is funding your lifestyle, you're doing this as a value add to give back to people to help them avoid some of the mistakes that you might have come across, and to enjoy the satisfaction out of seeing other people achieve their lifestyle goals. So, but love what you're doing there, mate. I now want to give you a blindfold and cigarette and jump into the old ambush round, if I can, and hit you with the 4 questions that everyone likes to get your feedback on. Just kick that off. What superpower do you wish that you had, and why?
Oh, if I had a superpower, I'd love to be able to cure cancer and cure disease for little kids. That'd be definitely my superpower. Like, money means nothing. Money's nothing. Health is everything. And why do these young kids have to suffer? I don't understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's 100%. Like, I'd give up anything, like money's nothing. When you see people get sick or whatever it is, it's my superpower. I'd be able to cure disease. Like, I got a neighbor who was in his 40s that passed away not long ago, and it's just like, it's just too young,
Right.
And then my builder friend when he's 50s, be able to cure disease for 100%. Like, that'll be my superpower.
Love it. Different topic altogether. If you could have coffee with anyone, and that could be someone alive or a dead historical figure, who would you choose and why?
Well, because Robert Kiyosaki was one of my first books, I was obsessed with him. I'd have to say Robert Kiyosaki, because he was one of the early, started off early, and he was out there, and he's got his games, his cash flow. I still love his books, and I'm trying to get my daughter to read his books. His books are great. He's got so much great information, and just the basics. When he's Poor Dad, Rich Dad book, it's just basic, but it's there. It's all there.
Absolutely. Well, there is Rich Dad, Poor Dad for kids, of course. So you probably know that. I spent a lot of time with my son when he was young, reading that book with him, just to get him into the space of thinking the same way. Because sadly, the school system doesn't focus much on money or investment, but those sorts of tools are really good. Jumping subjects altogether, if I was to give you $50 million right here, right now in cold hard cash, what would you do with it and why?
Wow. Yeah, I'd probably start having a play with a bit of commercial property, and I'd buy probably 25 mil worth of resi. I just keep building cash flow, and build good housing for the people that don't have housing. So help Melbourne's housing supply. Probably put maybe more than 25 mil into that. I'd probably put the 50 mil into that, because I think there's a big problem in Melbourne at the moment. Housing, there's not enough housing. There's people down the peninsula living in tents. There's people along the Mullumbimby Creek living in tents. It's just too much. And I don't think the government can fix it fast enough with, they're trying to build houses. So I think, probably put it all into housing in Melbourne, to come up with a model similar to the 1B type stuff that I'm doing. Enough, maybe sort of like a family model can live in these things or something. Try and build affordable housing.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
The final one, Simon, I'm a big believer in the power of small habits, because it's what we do every day that, again, compounds into massive change over time. What's a personal happy habit, rewarding ritual, or daily discipline that you've employed that's contributed most to your investment success, do you think?
Probably gym every morning, and meditation, morning and night, and picture where you want to be. Because the thing was, me, when I was in my early 20s or late teens, I used to picture probably where I am today. And I said to my wife a few times, maybe I should have pictured it a bit higher, like had a little bit more, because I pictured where I wanted to be and I'm here, but why didn't I picture higher? Why did we have a limit? I don't know.
Yes.
Why did I set that standard there? I should have pictured it higher. So meditation, like every morning I still meditate and picture where I want my day, basically what my day and what my life to be. And funny you say that, like, I do that, and people say things come if you do it and action happens. Funny enough, I had a broker come to me the other day, and I wasn't even looking for a broker, and he come to me and goes, "We could refinance your situation," and I'm like, "No, that's all right." And anyway, because I said it's not really possible with my serviceability, and he has a look at it, and he goes, "Yeah, we can, because you got so much rental income." Yeah. And I said to my wife, "You had this guy to call me up." I said, out of the blue. I said, I said, told you, meditation. I picture these things coming in my head.
Yep.
I picture the passive income, and it happens. I don't know. I listened to Joe Dispenza and a few other people and talk about mindset and picturing the way you want your life to be. And, I think it's amazing. Like,
So do I. That simply for me, Simon, what we think about is what we bring about. What we focus our attention on is what we make happen. There's no question about that. And people can call it woo-woo, whatever you like. But if we're focused on achieving something, then we're naturally going to be attracted to assisting and making that happen. It's amazing how things change to enable that, mate. So love that. I'd just on that, to bring it to a bit of a close then, the final question I always ask guests on the show is, if I ask you to get invested, what does that mean to you?
Take action. Get invested, take action. Everyone should take action. Yeah, I just wish more people would take action. Yeah. It's sad. Sometimes it does my head in. So many people sit on the fence and don't take action. But I've got to the point now this year. I think I can't change everybody. I can't make people take action. And I used to get frustrated with people, but I can't. You can lead a horse to water. I can't make them take action. I just got to start living my own life a bit more. And last year, I probably spoke to a couple 100 people, clients, and I got to the stage this year. I'm like, I need a break. I can't make everyone take action. And I know there's so many good opportunities out there, but if they don't want, hopefully they just start listening to more podcasts and they start taking more action. And turn the news off. Turn the TV off. You don't need that. Unfortunately, my kids have basically never seen the news. So
right. Right.
Yeah. So
full respect to you, mate, because that's just swimming in negativity. You're never going to do anything if you listen to the noise on the news. Love that. Simon, for those that have really resonated with what you shared today, we're going to make sure we've got all of your contact details and links in the show notes. And I know that you've very generously offering a bit of a challenge to get invested listeners by offering them a free discovery call with you. But I always make sure people take some action to earn that. So the challenge for anyone listening is to send us an email at hello, that's HELLO, at knowhowproperty.com.au, and share with us your best takeaway on property investment and achieving your goals from our great conversation here with Simon. I'll have the links for that in the show notes as well. So we look forward to sharing that, and we'll choose one of the lucky listeners to spend some time with Simon and get you motivated to progress your journey in that direction further. So look, thanks heaps, mate, for taking the time to inspire and educate us on your very motivational property investment journey so far, Simon. We'll make sure that we get you back to talk in more detail down the track, because one thing I'm really confident about is your journey's got a long way to go, and you've already demonstrated just how active you are in taking the action and then changing things to make sure that things are working for you and your good family. So I really want to thank you for that. But before we go, if anyone listening would like to keep the conversation going in a very safe and open forum where you can take your property knowledge to the next level by sharing and learning with other like-minded property investors and a bunch of property professionals, you can get all of your property questions answered by joining Eddie the Frenchman, myself, and a host of others on the Property Hub Collective Facebook page. Again, just click the link on the show notes, and we look forward to seeing you there. And that brings us to the end of another great episode. So remember to always get invested in your knowledge and your network before you invest in assets. And thanks again for getting invested, Simon, and let's make sure that we keep our conversation going.
Thanks for having me. Been great.
Thanks for tuning in to Get Invested on the Property Hub podcast channel, your home for property investment insights and inspiration. Make sure you subscribe to Property Hub for free. Get your weekly dose of Get Invested inspiration along with every episode of Realty Talk, Australia's top online property show for red-hot property investing news and insights direct from industry leaders and influencers. And finally, I'll see you next time.